Party speaker, noun. Speaker that claims to make your living room feel like a nightclub, even if it is mostly a big plastic box with LEDs. The party speaker. This speaker system was built from the ground up with the following objectives. Reproduce continuous music at high volume. Have the high sound quality you could expect from a high-end Bluetooth speaker. Utilize advanced DSP functionality for correction of room behavior and ear responsiveness. Be Google Home compatible and integrate seamlessly with sources and content providers. The idea back then was to create a smaller speaker, sleek in design, and maybe not that much of a party speaker. Well, that didn't happen. And a test speaker was built. At the same time, there was extensive research ongoing in the living room. In this period, there is some confusion related to both the design process and what Simon was actually working on.
Yes,
Panjit
it's
explains.
correct. I was at
Panjit, you were there, what
at the
happened?
time, but I'm trying to forget and not talking about it. I can say that this was the first time Simon got his hands on some real professional sound equipment, and it became ugly. Cadavers of speakers everywhere, cut open with their wires, cones and guts spilling.
It was around this time we discovered the 15s by Klipsch. An absolutely beautiful speaker. It shared the same setup as ours, with drivers of the same size, Bluetooth connectivity, and a fully active design. Finding it was a huge inspiration, because it showed us that a well-respected, established speaker company had also explored this exact configuration for a hi-fi system.
Although the 15s never reached full production, they stood out with their wide baffle, clean front panel, retro-modern styling and dedication to audiophile-grade sound without the clutter of passive crossovers or racks of gear. Paul Klipsch felt a two-way design pairing a 15 woofer and a large horn tweeter was the optimum configuration for a speaker system. But in the past, the materials and technology to produce an ideal rendition of this configuration was not there.
In my head, the progress was good, I had a design direction, so I started to build. In the way, I had a speaker looking very much like the 15s, but I was not happy with the new size and shape of the grille, nor did I agree with the overall sound from the compression driver, so a third speaker was constructed. Note: 6mm nuts and bolts to lock down the driver, and the front baffle has grown to 32mm. Yes, you got it correct. We will ensure a qualified ductor is always on board, and very often on duty. Having one will increase our MTBF, that's the mean time between each speaker failure. In addition, it will provide us tons of feedback related to the use of the speaker. Before he became a ductor, Watson was just another duck in the studio, monitoring mixes, pretending he knew what EQ meant. Our Watson grew in this position and learned the business inside out.
This is great. We were not sure we would find a qualified sound ductor, but with Watson, I think we have been very lucky. It turns out Watson ran into a dead end or a issue of some kind in his previous position. HR reports that ductor is always on post, never leaving the speaker. And here we see him.
Wow, 4 minutes already. Panjit would kill me if he knew I have not even showed you. Bobo is dying to meet you guys. He has literally been on fire the entire day.
Okay, ladies, gentlemen, these curves show how the human ear perceives loudness differently across frequencies. At lower listening levels, our ears are less sensitive to very low and very high frequencies, making bass and treble sound quieter compared to the midrange. As volume increases, the response flattens out and the ear sensitivity becomes more balanced. In practice, this means that music or sound played quietly often seems to lose bass and treble, while at high levels it sounds fuller and more even. This psychoacoustic principle is the basis for loudness controls in audio equipment, which boost bass and treble at lower volumes.
So first we measure the signal level, which is the volume. The signal is between 0 and 1, depending on level. We use a peak envelope, since we need to know what will hit the woofer in which state. Then we use the proportional signal from the envelope to constantly exchange between 10 different HP filters spanning from 50 Hz to 85 Hz. This regulates how low in frequency our woofer will operate. In addition to the HP filter, we use 10 different bass boost filters from -10 to +15 decibels at 80 Hz, and a similar type of filter cut with 4400 as center frequency instead of 80 Hz. And that is correction enough. The music signal is now corrected in the areas where the ear has lower sensitivity, and this is fully audible. This really makes a difference in sound. It also concludes the building of this speaker. It's a solid rug or thug of a speaker, and it's constructed well. The 37-kilo cabinet is made of 21 or 32 mm, medium-density fiberboard, and the enclosure is ported to a frequency of 80 Hz. Already before adjustment, it had a very good and flat and more important even frequency response. It's constructed for a service life of 20 years and has a full 10-year warranty.
Hey Boo-boo, turn off the speaker.
Party, party, party.
Hey Boo-boo, turn off the speaker.
Party, party, party.